1.2s up to like. Hey guys, so, wow, that sounded really YouTube-y. I hate that, but whatever. Anyway, today we're gonna go through packing my camera bag for a wedding. This video, we're gonna do it just for when I'm just doing photo. We'll do another video for when I'm also doing video on the wedding day. So let's get started, right? So I've got my bag. I have mixed feelings on my bag, but I'll still link it below. I like it. I sometimes wish it was bigger, but they have since came out with a bigger one. All right, let's get started. First off, bodies. So my primary shooting is two different Canon R6s. Obviously I've got this one right here and then the one that is recording this video on. So we'll go ahead and get those in there. I always technically I take 3 camera bodies, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So now let's talk lenses. For starters, the one on the body recording right now is the RF 16mm. I love that thing. I know it seems like a really odd wide angle for weddings, but actually when I partner that with the Lume Cube on top and use that during receptions, something about it in general, people want to interact with it more. I think that a lot of the times they think it's running on video because I am using a little video light, and they're a lot more apt to kind of come and engage with the camera. And so some of my favorite reception shots are actually on a 16mm. I've got the 16mm. Next up is RF 50, little tiny one. This is that like $199 one. It's the 1.8. I don't use it for photo. I primarily use it when we do video, but I do like having it in my camera bag. Now, let's talk about my babies, my ones that I use the most. Up first is my Canon 35 L series 1.4. I love this thing. This thing is a beast. It stays on my body pretty much the entire day. When I'm not shooting with that, I am shooting with my 50 1.2. I love this. I will eventually upgrade it to the R version, but for now, this with the RF adapters is doing me great. I love it. But these are primarily what I use all day during wedding day. And then I've always got just a little 85, what is this? The 85 1.8, I think. Yep, 85 1.8. I rarely use this little thing, but I think a lot of it is because of habit. So I've had this thing for years and I just never used it. And then once I upgraded my bodies to mirrorless, I threw it on one day with the adapter and it felt like a brand new lens. So like, yeah, it's an EF lens, but on an EF body, it feels like a cheap lens, but like on the mirrorless bodies, it feels like a newer lens. That's probably the best way I can explain it. But like, I pull it out a little bit more now than I used to. And then obviously because we're walking around with 2 RF or R6 cameras, we obviously got our 2 RF to EF adapters for both of the cameras. So let's get those in the bag and then we will move to my flash bag. Okay, wait, I forgot something. So up here in my top compartment, I keep like 3 things at all times. Medicines, right, they stay there. My green pencil pouch. This thing is actually super important for me on wedding days. This green pencil pouch is full of fully charged batteries. I think in total I have like 12. Seems like a lot, I know, but we also do video too sometimes, so it never hurts. Now, the reason that I keep the green is because green means go.
And green means go.
Oh, I mean, ADHD brain. So as I need batteries during the day, I'll pull them out. And then once my battery dies, what I always do is I drop them into my laptop compartment of my bag. And that's where I know all my dead batteries are. So I never accidentally fumble and grab a dead battery, popping it into my camera. Then when I get home, they get all pulled out and thrown into a red basket in my gear closet. And then I know that they're dead and I need to charge them. And then they get moved back in here. That's just kind of something I do for my ADHD. And then always have a first aid kit with some random little wedding essentials too, like a needle and thread and things like that in here too. So all of that goes up here. in my top compartment, and a phone charger too is normally in here. So now we can move on to my flash bag. Okay, my flash bag is tote bag from Amazon. I will totally link it because I love it. It's got like 3 big pockets in the front, and I can normally like throw my cell phone down in there, and a water bottle fits in them. And then, you know, sometimes when you end up with like a physical copy of the timeline on paper or something, that's a good spot to stick it. Let's get stuff into our flash bag. Okay, flash bag. Keep an extra thing of Tylenol in that bag too, because sometimes it's the closest, and because let's get real, receptions get really loud and can give you horrible headaches. I also, this is the funniest thing, for detail stuff, I recently got this little tin from the Dollar Tree. I love this thing. I use it to stack my invites, but also because lid and top are separate heights, I can use those when I'm doing a flat lay. I used to keep a big flat lay kit with me, but now what I normally do is I just pack handful of little things, and most of the time it's just something for the different heights when we flat lay, and a couple of ribbons that I normally throw down into this bag too, depending on the wedding colors. Cool. So another phone charger, because I feel like somebody always needs one. And then my flashes. So we've got both my speed lights. I have a love-hate with these. What are these? The Yongnus, whatever, they're, I don't know how to say that brand, but I like them. However, this one's door of the batteries constantly wants to pop open. Honestly, I need to just go ahead and order a new one and then keep this one as a backup is what I should do. But anyway, we've got 2 of those with Magmods on top with mag spheres. I love my Magmods. I cannot live without them. I also always in the back of my car keep 2 light stands in case I ever need to do off-camera flash. It's rare, but I like knowing that they're in my car in case I need them. So these are my 2 primary flashes. I'll link it, but this door still makes me really mad. Like, it pops open all the time. Okay, then also talking about off-camera flash. I take a pack of zip ties with me. I know this seems weird. Every once in a while, it's normally dark venues. I sometimes just want to throw one more, but the dance floor is tight or cramped. If there are posts in near the dance floor, poles, and like within the architecture of the building and the venue and things, I can zip tie a flash where I need it on that post and then able to point it towards the dance floor. Again, it's rare, but it takes up that much space at the bottom of my bag. It's worth having them. Also, I have zip-tied broken suspenders. I have zip-tied broken pant zippers. Honestly, maybe I do use them more than I realize. So those are also always down at the bottom of my flash bag. Now let's move on to last 2 things. So one is my big old giant accessory bag. Inside of here are a battery charger, although let's get real, I'm never gonna need one. Lens cloths, my cold shoe mounts for my flashes if I need to move them to off camera. I've got my grids and my gels for my Magmods, and then assortment of lens caps because I'm the worst at never putting them back on. And then the other thing that I keep in here is a cold shoe phone holder, like goes on your cold shoe and then can hold your phone in case you also want to get some footage on your phone at the same time. I rarely use this, but I like having it in there. But 2 things that are always in this bag that I cannot live without are my LED lights. So first we've got a Lume Cube Mini. This is the best little thing ever. And then we've also got a little G2. Let's go ahead and turn that on. Like, yeah, that sucker gets bright. This big one, I rarely need it, but I will use it sometimes for sparkler exits to backlight them. I'll put this on a quick stand on the back, let it backlight them as they're walking. That helps a lot for sparkler exits. I will also put this on my hot shoe too, sometimes for sparkler exits, because this is a little bigger and a little bit brighter than the Lume Cube. I use this Lume Cube though at every single wedding for one part of the day or another. I also try to keep them with me. Yes, you can use a flash. Like, there was a whole conversation recently in a photography group about using Lume Cubes instead of flashes. Yes, you can. But one, as someone who's married to the video side of my business and who is friends with a bunch of videographers, I know that the end product is what's most important for our couples. And I hate when you're watching a first dance clip or you're watching dance floor clips and then you see in the background the photographer's flash triggering. Like, hate that. So if we can avoid it, why not be helpful? And, you know, also your video friends are gonna love you for having an extra light source anyway. But yeah, I will put this on my hot shoe with a 16mm and get those dance floor photos like I was talking about earlier. So both my LED panel lights are always in this bag. Cool. Now I'm gonna talk about the most important thing that I take to weddings with me, other than a bunch of SD cards. It's my backup system. So let's do that next. Okay, let's talk backups. 2 cameras are great, but we all know that those little leather harnessed and dual shooting is what everybody does. Things can still happen. If something happens to one, you're now down to one. And that, to me, that stresses me out. I will never go to a wedding with just 2 cameras on me. Also, gear gets stolen. Go read horror stories. In this case stays locked in my vehicle at all times. This case is my SOL scenario. It is time to bust out every backup that we've got. So let's go through this. Okay. First up is my Mark IV. I love this camera. I shot most of my weddings on this for many, many years. Great camera. Also still dual card. So in an emergency, this is an awesome backup. For a lot of people, this is their primary. That's cool too. But it stays, in this case, locked away, separated from any of my other gear. Now, if you remember my lenses, I talked about that my 35 and my 50 are my go-tos. So I, in here, keep a Tamron 24-270. It's a good lens. It does its job. But in an emergency situation, you're gonna be so freaking thankful that I have it. So this 24-70 also always stays in this case, as well as a CF card and an SD card in the camera ready to go. And again, this is one of my primaries breaks on me or starts freezing up or it gets knocked off a counter or I fall in a freaking pond. I don't know. You know, it's a wedding day. Nothing is predictable. So this is my absolute emergency kit and it stays locked in the car during the wedding days. So that is, yeah, that's everything. That is all the stuff that I take with me to every single wedding for photo. So in the next video, we'll go over what I take when my husband tags along, and we are also doing video on the wedding. But anyway, hope that guys was helpful. I will put all of the different things, backpacks, batteries, all the stuff in the description below. And until then, I'll see you guys. Thanks.